Cry the Beloved Country. Chapter 5. I have a place for you to sleep, my friend, in the house of an old woman, a Mrs. Lateba, who is a good member of our church. She is an Umsutu, but she speaks Zulu well. She will think it an honor to have a priest in the house. It is cheap, only 3 shillings a week, and you can have your meals there with the people of the mission. Now there is the bell. Would you like to wash your hands? They wash their hands in a modern place with a white basin and water cold and hot, and towels worn but very white, in a modern lavatory too. When you were finished, you pressed a little rod, and the water rushed in as though something was broken. It would have frightened you if you had not heard of such things before. They went into a room where a table was laid, and there he met many priests, both white and black, and they sat down after grace and ate together. He was a bit nervous of the many plates and knives and forks, but watched what others did and used the things likewise. He sat next to a young rosy-cheeked priest from England, who asked him where he came from and what it was like there. And another black priest cried out, "I am also from Bikopo. My father and mother are still alive there, in the valley of the Lufafa. How is it there?" And he told them all about these places, of the great hills and valleys of that far country, and the love of them must have been in his voice, for they were all silent and listened to him. He told them, too, of the sickness of the land, and how the grass had disappeared, and of the dongas that ran from hill to valley, and valley to hill, and how it was a land of old men and women, and mothers and children, how the maize grew barely to the height of a man, how the tribe was broken, and the house broken, and the man broken, how when they went away many never came back, many never wrote any more, how this was true not only in Indochini, but also in the Lufafa, and the Imhilvini, and the Mkomas, and the Umzimkulu. But of Gertrude and Absalom he said nothing. So they all talked of the sickness of the land, of the broken tribe and the broken house, of young men and young girls that went away and forgot their customs and lived loose and idle lives. They talked of young criminal children, and older and more dangerous criminals, of how white Johannesburg was afraid of black crime. One of them went and got a newspaper, the Johannesburg Mail, and showed him in bold black letters, "Old couple robbed and beaten in lonely house. 4 natives arrested." "That happens nearly every day," he said, "and it is not only the Europeans who are afraid. We are also afraid, right here in Sophia town. It was not long ago that a gang of these youths attacked one of our own African girls. They took her bag and her money, and would have raped her too, but that people came running out of the houses." "You will learn much here in Johannesburg," said the rosy-cheeked priest. "It is not only in your place that there is destruction. But we must talk again. I want to hear again about your country. But I must go now." So they broke up, and Misimangu said he would take his visitor to his own private room. "We have much to talk about," he said. They went to the room, and when Misimangu had shut the door and they had sat themselves down, Khumalo said to him, "You will pardon me if I am hasty, but I am anxious to hear about my sister." "Yes, yes," said Misimangu. "I am sure you are anxious. You must think I am thoughtless. But you will pardon me if I ask you first, why did she come to Johannesburg?" Khumalo, though disturbed by this question, answered obediently. "She came to look for her husband, who was recruited for the mines. But when his time was up, he did not return, nor did he write at all. She did not know if he were dead, perhaps. So she took her small child and went to look for him." Then, because Misimangu did not speak, he asked anxiously, "Is she very sick?" Misimangu said gravely, "Yes, she is very sick. But it is not that kind of sickness. It is another, a worse kind of sickness. I sent for you firstly because she is a woman that is alone, and secondly because her brother is a priest. I do not know if she ever found her husband, but she has no husband now." He looked at Khumalo. "It would be truer to say," he said, "that she has many husbands." Khumalo said, "Tiko, Tiko." "She lives in Claremont, not far from here. It is one of the worst places in Johannesburg. After the police have been there, you can see the liquor running in the streets. You can smell it. You can smell nothing else, wherever you go in that place." He leant over to Khumalo. "I used to drink liquor," he said, "but it was good liquor, such as our fathers made. But now I have vowed to touch no liquor any more. This is bad liquor here, made strong with all manner of things that our people have never used. And that is her work, and she makes and sells it. I shall hide nothing from you, though it is painful for me. These women sleep with any man for their price. A man has been killed at her place. They gamble and drink and stab. She's been in prison more than once." He leaned back in his chair and moved a book forward and backward on the table. "This is terrible news for you," he said. Kumalo nodded dumbly, and Missy-Mongu brought out his cigarettes. "Will you smoke?" he said. Kumalo shook his head. "I do not really smoke," he said. "Sometimes it quietens one to smoke, but there should be another kind of quiet in a man, and then let him smoke to enjoy it. But in Johannesburg it is hard sometimes to find that kind of quiet. In Johannesburg, everywhere it is so. The peace of God escapes us." And they were both silent, as though a word had been spoken that made it hard to speak to another. At last Kumalo said, "Where is the child?" "The child is there, but it is no place for a child, and that too is why I sent for you. Perhaps if you cannot save the mother, you can save the child." "Where is this place?" "It is not far from here. I shall take you tomorrow." "I have another great sorrow." "You may tell me. I should be glad to tell you." But then he was silent and tried to speak and could not. So Missy-Mongu said to him, "Take your time, my brother. It is not easy. It is our greatest sorrow. A son, maybe? Or a daughter?" "It is a son." "I am listening." "Absalom was his name. He too went away to look for my sister, but he never returned, nor after a while did he write any more. Our letters, his mother's hand in mine, all came back to us, and now after what you tell me I am still more afraid. We shall try to find him, my brother. Perhaps your sister will know. You are tired, and I should take you to the room I have got for you." "Yes, that would be better." They rose, and Kumalo said, "It is my habit to pray in the church. Maybe you will show me." "It is on the way." Kumalo said humbly, "Maybe you will pray for me." "I shall do it gladly, my brother. I have, of course, my work to do, but so long as you are here, my hands are yours." "You are kind." Something in the humble voice must have touched Missy-Mongu, for he said, "I am not kind. I am a selfish and sinful man, but God put his hands on me. That is all." He picked up Kumalo's bag, but before they reached the door, Kumalo stopped him. "I have one more thing to tell you." "Yes?" "I have a brother also here in Johannesburg. He too does not write any more. John Kumalo, a carpenter." Missy-Mongu smiled. "I know him," he said. "He is too busy to write. He is one of our great politicians." "A politician, my brother?" "Yes, he is a great man in politics." Missy-Mongu paused. "I hope I shall not hurt you further. Your brother has no use for the church any more. He says that what God has not done for South Africa, man must do. That is what he says." "This is a bitter journey." "I can believe it. Sometimes I fear, what will the bishop say when he hears? One of his priests? What can a bishop say? Something is happening that no bishop can stop. Who can stop these things from happening? They must go on." "How can you say so? How can you say that they must go on?" "They must go on," said Missy-Mongu gravely. "You cannot stop the world from going on. My friend, I am a Christian. It is not my heart to hate a white man. It was a white man who brought my father out of darkness. But you will pardon me if I talk frankly to you. The tragedy is not that things are broken. The tragedy is that they are not mended again. The white man has broken the tribe, and it is my belief, and again I ask your pardon, that it cannot be mended again. But the house that is broken, and the man that falls apart when the house is broken, these are tragic things. That is why children break the law, and old white people are robbed and beaten." He passed his hand across his brow. "It suited the white man to break the tribe," he continued gravely, "but it has not suited him to build something in the place of what is broken. I have pondered this for many hours, and I must speak it, for it is the truth for me. They are not all so. There are some white men who give their lives to build up what is broken. But they are not enough," he said. "They are afraid, that is the truth. It is fear that rules this land." He laughed apologetically. "These things are too many to talk about now. They are things to talk over quietly and patiently. You must get Father Vincent to talk about them. He is a white man and can say all what needs to be said. He is one with the boy's cheeks, the one who wants to hear more about your country. I remember him." "They give us too little," said Missy-Mongu somberly. "They give us almost nothing. Come, let us go to the church." "Mrs. Letebe, I bring my friend to you, the Reverend Stephen Kumalo. Umfundisi, you are welcome. The room is small but clean. I am sure of it. Good night, my brother. Shall I see you in the church tomorrow at 7? "Assuredly. And after that I shall take you to eat. Stay well, my friend. Stay well, Mrs. Lateba. Go well, my friend. Go well, Mfundisi. She took him to the small clean room and lit a candle for him. If there is anything, you will ask, Mfundisi. I thank you. Sleep well, Mfundisi. Sleep well, mother. He stood a moment in the room. 48 hours ago, he and his wife had been packing his bag and far away in Dacchini. 24 hours ago, the train, with the cage on its head, had been thundering through an unseen country. And now outside, the stir and movement of people, but behind them, through them, one could hear the roar of a great city. Johannesburg, Johannesburg. Who could believe it?